One of my favorite books is Lord of the Rings. It tells the story of a hobbit named Frodo who must destroy a ring before a Dark Lord can use it for world domination. But what fascinates me most is not the battle. It is what the ring does to a person who carries it. The ring promises power. It makes you invisible. It makes you live longer. But it slowly reshapes who you are. The longer someone carries it, the more they depend on it. And over time, they forget who they were without it. Losing the ring would not just mean losing power. It would mean losing a part of themselves. So let me ask you, are you building your identity on something you fear losing? Is there something more stable, something no one can take from you? I believe there is, and it's called character. In this video, I'll show you why character is so important and how easy it is to lose your way when you build your identity on anything else. Before I begin my oil painting, I'm going to make a study of the reference that I have. I'm going to group and simplify the shapes and study the colors. I always like to do this step because it helps me to understand what is so beautiful about what I see. Another story that deeply shaped me as a child is Naruto. Naruto is an anime about a young ninja who dreams of becoming the strongest leader of his village. However, he grows up without parents, rejected and underestimated by the people around him. He carries a heavy burden. A powerful monster spirit was sealed inside his body, and because of that, the villagers fear him and avoid interacting with him. They treat him as if he is the monster himself. At school, he meets Sasuke, who also has no parents. However, their pain is not the same. Sasuke loses his entire family in a violent massacre killed by his own older brother, the person he trusted the most. Naruto, on the other hand, grows up in isolation, rejected and feared by an entire village. The origin of their suffering is different, but both are deeply shaped by it. The difference between them is not how much they have suffered, but what they decide to do with that suffering. Sasuke builds his identity around revenge, because revenge gives him structure. After losing everything, hatred becomes the only thing that feels stable. It gives him direction, it gives him control. Without it, he would face his grief and emptiness. He leaves the village to grow stronger, but the stronger he becomes, the more he isolates himself. Revenge needs emotional distance. To stay focused on his goal, to kill his brother, who killed the family, he pushes people away. Trust feels dangerous and connection feels like weakness. The stronger he becomes, the less room there is for vulnerability and the more isolated he becomes. Naruto turns his pain into motivation and purpose. Instead of letting his loneliness define him, he trains obsessively. He works harder than almost anyone else, not to take revenge, but to prove himself that he can become someone respected and strong enough to protect others. Even though he is rejected, he does not isolate himself. He keeps trying to connect. When he meets other outsiders, he tells them, "I know how you feel," because he has experienced loneliness himself. He can understand their anger and help them change. He also carries a monster inside him, a force that represents destruction and hatred. Yet, he repeatedly chooses not to let that power control him. I'm actually really fast at painting watercolor. I have improved. Do you see these shadow shapes I have created? Also in her face, it's just two values. This is so important for making a painting looking good. Whenever I make figurative paintings, I get really stuck in my head. Everything has to make sense, so I tried something different. I took a class on Skillshare that felt more like art therapy. just exploring colors and different tools, making art without responsibility. It felt like playing with my inner child. I also found a class on DaVinci Resolve. I taught myself how to edit my YouTube videos in Premiere Pro years ago, but DaVinci offers more possibilities and is even used for cinema films. I actually wanted to learn to edit in the software since 4 years. Skillshare has creative classes taught by world-class creatives like professional illustrators, renowned graphic designers, and successful entrepreneurs. It is the best place to learn a creative skill or pick up a new hobby. If you are looking to reconnect with your creativity, Skillshare is where humans come to learn from other humans. The first 500 people to use the link in the description box or scan this QR code will get a free month trial of Skillshare. I can't stress enough how important it is to work with deadlines, even while painting, to set a timer. It helps you to focus on what is important and move on faster. This is always something I'm scared of, to make this area even darker, to create a stronger contrast. Let's give it a try. I already know what the name of this painting is going to be: Courage. Let's get back to The Lord of the Rings and my question if there is something you fear losing. The ring slowly reshapes identity. The more someone depends on it, the more they fear losing it, because without it, they feel incomplete. Sasuke builds his identity around revenge. As long as revenge defines him, it gives him structure. But if he reaches that goal or it disappears, he risks facing the same emptiness he tried to escape. And when your identity depends on anger, you often need new reasons to stay angry in order to avoid that emptiness. Naruto also has strong goals, becoming the village leader, but his identity is not built on status or revenge. It builds on values, determination, loyalty, or connection. That is why his strength remains even if the title village leader disappears. The real question is not whether we have goals. The real question is what our identity depends on. If it depends on something external, power, validation, success, revenge, we will always feel losing it. But if it depends on character, we are less affected by outer things. I'm giving away this original watercolor painting as a thank you for your support. To participate, join my newsletter on valerielin.com or click the link below. I only send out emails for limited timed edition releases, no spam, and subscribers of this newsletter also get early access before the prints are gone. On Sunday, March 8th, one subscriber will be chosen at random from the list, and this one-of-a-kind piece will find its new home. The funny thing is, I can identify myself in all these characters. And I think most of us can. When I was younger, maybe 7 years ago, I wanted a pair of designer shoes. I thought that if I got those shoes, I would finally feel happy. I saved up money, bought them, and after I got them, I just left them in the box because I felt nothing. Later, deep betrayal happened to me and I sought revenge. I was filled with anger for many years. That anger gave me direction and a goal, and once I reached the goal, I felt okay about what had happened. But I felt like something was still not right. Remember when I mentioned the stronger Sasuke became, the more he isolated himself? Because this pattern of reaching goals out of revenge needs emotional distance to stay focused. And I noticed a bit of that in myself. And this brings me back to the idea of character and values. They were always there, but I faced new challenges where I had to pause and literally tell myself, I can't do this. This is not who I want to become. That was the moment I had to learn to sit with my grief and emptiness, and that is a terrible feeling, one that many people try to numb with drugs or other distractions. If you numb that emptiness, you silence what it's trying to teach you. Emptiness is uncomfortable, but it shows you that something external cannot define you anymore. Character is built when you choose to stay instead of escaping. You can already hear it. When I tap on it from the back, it's getting stretched. Now it has to dry for a few hours, and in the evening I will apply my gesso. Since the beginning of my channel, there is a technique I really love to master, and it's to get this essence of watercolor painting into oil painting. And what I mean by that is, do you see these brush strokes that you can just do one time? Like, it's just one chance that you have. I made the decision to paint a samurai. I watched many documentaries about them, and I was always amazed by their spirit. I see many parallels between the samurai and artists. Did you know that samurai even practice calligraphy? In calligraphy, a brush stroke can be only made once. There is no correction. That discipline of the brush must meant to shape the discipline of the sword. A samurai cannot act on impulse. One mistake can be fatal. Every movement must come from clarity and calm mind, especially in extreme situations. I have become so fast at painting. A samurai was not only a warrior, but often also responsible for land, people, and decisions. Discipline, responsibility, trust, these were not optional traits, they were necessary. And this is the point. Character is not something you switch on in difficult moments. It runs through everything you do. how you handle anger, how you handle success, how you handle emptiness. Character is continuity. How you do anything is how you do everything. I absolutely did not like the green in this painting, so I'm looking at the watercolor study and trying to get some more brown tones and bluish turquoise tones inside as well. Okay, this is how it looks so far, and I definitely have to work on the green area. Do you see how beautifully this is grouped? I need that there as well. At the end of March, I'm going to release 2 prints of these, and I need names. Suggest some names in the comments. I was thinking about courage and faith. I always wanted to create soft looking woman, but a bit more empowered, visually empowered. When you see these figures without the things in their hands, it's not even about the weapons. It's about a person who looks a certain way. It doesn't mean that this person is just this one thing. That they can protect themselves, that they can speak up for themselves, that they know what they are doing in their life, that they have the courage and faith within themselves to go after the things that they want in their life. I hope I captured that in the paintings. I hate it when we get put into certain drawers and people expect us to be just one thing because we are everything and anything at the same time, right? I think I always had the urge to paint these types of paintings, but I never had enough pressure, enough inner pressure to express that. And the last 2 years, as I told you, I had been surrounded by people who really pushed me to stand up for myself, to set boundaries, to say, hey, I only have this life, leave me alone. And it's actually really good to be put into really difficult situations, because then you can bring yourself out more. You can bring out the things that had been hidden within yourself all the time. And I absolutely recommend you to do things that just don't fit to your image, because there is no image. Image is built by society, and you build your own self, right? And you need this fighting spirit within yourself. It does not mean that you have to yell and be aggressive. It means like being certain, just saying no, and not over explaining yourself, or saying I have a dream and I can pursue that dream. I can build myself up. Or when you have an idea and you believe in that idea, and there are people who say, oh, I don't know, you don't listen. You have that fighting spirit within yourself, that fire.